Vaccination is one of the most effective ways to prevent diseases. A vaccine helps the body's immune system to recognize and fight pathogens like viruses or bacteria. But as the global race for COVID-19 vaccine continues, the WHO is appealing for the ingredient of solidarity to ensure equitable access. And joining us is Mrs. Olufunto Lude, a chief pharmacist with the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba. She's in charge of drug supply management. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us, how close are we in terms of the global efforts to finding a vaccine for COVID-19?
Well, we're very aware that there had been about 200 candidates for the vaccine development against COVID. But right now, we're sure of about 2 that are very close. We know that one of them is looking at the end of 2020 for us to be able to have access to these vaccines because, of course, they're already with them in human testing stage right now. But, you know, it's a race against time. It's actually a race against time. And we know vaccines for now, of course, is the way to protect most people. But we hope soon enough that these trials will pass that human stage and people will have access. But of course, you're talking about lots of money going down, and how do we take advantage of this, even as Africans?
Exactly. I was going to ask where Africa ranks in all of this, and seeing as the worry of the World Health Organization is accessibility, saying there should be solidarity as this search is on.
Yes, of course. At this point in time, collaboration is key. We are aware that, of course, South Africa has already collaborated with University of Oxford in terms of the trials to ensure that these vaccines are able to go global in terms of Africans also being able to have access to it. But I know that we're a little behind, but I'm sure we will find a way. But I think the key thing is for Africa as a continent to collaborate, because these things are very expensive. So you're looking at access in terms of funding. How do people get access to it? The vaccines are supposed to be used for the vulnerable. Of course, the first people that we get to is those who are vulnerable, health workers, police, those who have pre-existing conditions, you know, and the elderly. But now we're looking, how do we have access to it, which has to do with funding. So it's important that we gather the funds together, see how we can take advantage as fast as possible, because remember, the whole world is waiting for these vaccines.
Looking at Nigeria and our peculiarities, in terms of supply of drugs, do you think we will face any challenge?
Like in the beginning of the lockdown, since there was restriction in flights, you know, largely Nigerians, we are importers of medication as well as even the APIs for manufacturing. So we had a little challenge. In fact, it will be a major challenge. Globally, supply chain in terms of drug management is really going to be a challenge because most of these drugs are gotten from China or from India, even the APIs. So we're talking about the active ingredients in producing the drugs. Even if we're going to enable the local manufacturers here, we're looking at how do we get these things in. As we begin to ease the lockdown, I believe access will increase, but we'll have to think of innovative ways to ensure that safety protocols are followed in terms of getting the drugs in and ensuring that Nigerians have access, lest we have another problem with compliance when the drugs are not available.
All right, we appreciate your time, Mrs. Olufunto Lude, Chief Pharmacist. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We have more on the COVID-19 update when we return.